Hi, I'm Jesse Waters, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Late Night Labs environment to perform the magnesium synthesis reaction as listed in the procedure of Lab 01.5. And since we're already at the workbench, I'll go on ahead and make sure that the lab notebook is turned to the procedures page, so for those who want to read along with the instructions rather than watching me click around, you may do that. Now, to do the magnesium synthesis reaction, first things first, we need to pull out all of our materials. So we're going to need the mass scale, we're going to need the Bunsen burner, and we're going to need a crucible. The next part of the experiment calls for measuring the mass of the crucible, which comes out to be 88 grams. Now we're going to take the crucible back off, and we're going to take magnesium powder, as indicated here by the silver container. We're going to add 5 grams of magnesium to the crucible. Now we're going to measure the crucible again, and obviously it's going to weigh 93 grams because 88 plus 5 is 93. And now we don't need to use the mass scale for a while, so just push it off to the side. Now the next part of the experiment involves lighting up the Bunsen burner with the crucible on top of it and causing the synthesis reaction. So now we're going to drag the crucible to the burner, which will cause a mesh table to appear atop the burner for the crucible to sit on. And we're going to set the flame to low, which will only require one click. Now you'll see that the flame is a light orange. This will indicate that it is the low flame. There's 2 other flame settings, but you're not going to need those for this experiment. You're going to have to wait at least a minute, at max 2 minutes, before the synthesis reaction is complete. So we're just going to leave the crucible here for a minute. And while the burner does its work, it's important to note that this is a synthesis reaction. When we're finished performing the reaction and we measure our crucible, there will be a greater mass in it than what we had started with. We're not creating mass, if that's what you were wondering. In the case of this reaction, when the magnesium has its temperature raised with the burner, it'll start grabbing oxygen atoms from the surrounding air to bond with, and it'll form magnesium oxide in a similar manner to combustion and oxidization, rusting. Additionally, when the crucible is not sitting on its stand, you can click on it to view the materials within, and you'd find that the magnesium has been replaced with a whitish powder, indicating that it has become magnesium oxide. And now that it has been about a minute, we're going to click the flame 3 times and turn it off. And we're going to take the crucible and put it back on the workbench for a second. We're going to dispose of the Bunsen burner. Hopefully it doesn't cause an explosion. Okay, so now that we're finished with the burner, we're going to measure the crucible yet again. Remember that the mass was previously 93 grams, but is now increased to 96.289 grams, meaning that the magnesium has bonded with oxygen, and the magnesium oxide that has resulted is about a little over 3 grams heavier than what it was previously. And now that we're done with measuring the crucible, we're going to dispose of it as well as the mass scale. And I'll give the appropriate formula for this synthesis reaction. So we have 2 moles of solid magnesium in our crucible, which bonds with a single mole of oxygen that's in the air, gaseous oxygen. And that synthesizes to form 2 moles of magnesium oxide in solid form.